Hello all, I welcome to the session in which we are solving previous year GATE question paper on different mechanical subjects. In the last video we have seen the previous year question on fluid mechanics GATE 2020 set 1. Here we are going to discuss the GATE 2020 problem on fluid mechanics set 2. Let me discuss pattern of the question. In the set 2 regarding fluid mechanics, 4 number of questions they have asked. After that 4 question, 1 mark question were 2 and 2 mark question were 2. So total weightage for the fluid mechanics was around 6%. Let us assume 100 marks paper were there. 6 marks were allotted to fluid mechanics. That is regarding GATE 2020 mechanical set 2. Now, coming to the question number 1, which of the following condition is used to determine the stable equilibrium of all the partially submerged floating bodies? Now, before solving this question, we should be knowing each and every term. What is the meaning of center of buoyancy, center of gravity, and metacenter? Metacenter I will discuss later on. First, we need to discuss center of buoyancy and center of gravity. So let me discuss center of buoyancy. Now, regarding the definition, it is a point through which the line of action of buoyant force passes. It is a point through which the line of action of buoyant force passes. It is basically a center of gravity of displaced liquid. It is a center of gravity of displaced liquid. Now, center of gravity it is a point through which the weight of the body will act. The weight of body will act in downward direction. That is regarding the definition. Now, whenever the question comes regarding stability, we need to check what is the effect of disturbance. Then only we can able to understand what is the meaning of stability. Any body, if it is able to regain its original position after the disturbance, that body is said to be called as stable body. Now here we have the two types of body: fully submerged body as well as partially submerged body, that is called as floating bodies. So let me discuss one by one. Now, effect of disturbance. Effect of disturbance on floating and submerged body. First discuss submerged bodies. Let us discuss the effect of disturbance on submerged bodies. Let me draw figure. This is a submerged body and we have the axis here. Now the disturbance has been given, tilt is given. What will happen? It will also tilt. The body will tilt about some vertical axis. Now in this case, the center of buoyancy is nothing but center of gravity of displaced liquid. Now let us assume this is the center of buoyancy B, through which the buoyancy force will act. Let me show with a different color. Center of buoyancy, this will B. Now B will be here on the vertical axis. That means that there is a no change in shape of displaced volume. There is no change in the shape of displaced volume during the disturbance. So the center of buoyancy will remain at the same point on the vertical axis. Same point on the vertical axis. Same point on the vertical axis. But when we compare with floating bodies, now this is a free surface. Free surface is nothing but where the shear stress is 0. Now let me draw a floating body, and this is the vertical axis. We have given some tilt. Now the body shape will change. Now the shape of the body or shape of the displaced liquid. Let me show the shape of the displaced liquid. This is the shape of the liquid displaced. This is the shape of displaced liquid. Now the center of buoyancy will not be on the vertical line. It will start shifting from the vertical axis, because shape of volume of the liquid, shape of volume of displaced liquid changes. So center of buoyancy, that is point B, will also change. So you got to know that in the submerged body, whenever the tilt is given, the center of buoyancy will be exactly at the point on the vertical axis. But for the floating bodies, it will shift. Okay, after discussing this, let us discuss stability, instability, and neutral condition of submerged body and floating bodies. Okay. First of all, we will discuss about submerged bodies. Let me draw all the cases. Submerged bodies, and this is the vertical axis. We have given some tilt. After tilt, it will displace like this. Now let us assume point G is here and point B is here. Same will be here also. Point G and point B. Tilt. Now let us examine whether this body is under stable condition or not after giving tilt. This is called as tilt. Okay. After that, the buoyancy force will act in this direction and the weight of the body will act in this direction. As you can see, the buoyancy force and W will create clockwise movement, and again it is going to tilt the body further. So this is called unstable condition. That means G point is above the point B, that is center of buoyancy. Now let us discuss second case, where the body is under submerged condition. Now we have given some tilt. The shape of the body, or whatever the shape of the volume of the liquid which is displaced, will not change. So what will happen in this particular situation? Let us assume point G and point B at the same point. Same here also. The buoyancy force as well as weight of the body will pass through the same line. So this is called as neutral condition. the coincidence of point B and G will provide neutral condition. Now let us discuss third condition, that is stable condition, where you will come to know the point B will be above the point G. Let me show through figure. We have given some tilt. Okay. Now in this case, let us assume point B is here and point G is here. Now point B is here and point G is here. Let me draw buoyancy force. This is the weight of the body and this is the buoyancy force. The buoyancy force and the weight of the body will create a movement in the opposite to the tilt direction. That is, the body will regain its original position. So that is called as stable condition. That means B point will be above the G. Center of buoyancy will be above the G. That is a condition for submerged body. So here there is a no use of metacenter because we can easily examine the stability of the body with the help of 2 points, that is point B and point G. Now let me discuss floating condition, floating body. Again, we are going to discuss 3 cases. Now, here we are going to draw a 3 body. Okay. Now, whenever we give tilt, then what will happen? The shape of the volume of the liquid will change, as we know very well. In this case, let us assume point G is here and point B is here. After tilt, what will happen? Point B will shift, that is B dash, and G will be here. Now, what will happen? The buoyancy force will pass like this. Let me show you buoyancy force. And the weight of the body. This is the buoyancy force and this is called weight of the body. Now, as per this situation, you will understand that this is a stable condition. You might be thinking this is a stable condition. Just wait for the moment. Just wait for the moment. Let us examine other cases also. This is the body. We have given the tilt. We have given the tilt. Now let us assume the point G is here and point B is here. What will happen? The point G will be here only on the vertical axis, but point B will be shifted. The point B will be shifted, B dash. Now, let me show you the forces. This is the buoyancy force. And this is the weight of the body. This is the buoyancy force and this is the weight of the body. Again, here also you will come to know that it is unstable. Why unstable? Because force FB and weight will create the movement in the same direction in which the tilt has been given. But you're not in a position to predict that when the body will be stable and when the body will be unstable, because always point G will be above the B. So you can't say when the point G will be above the B, the body will be stable or unstable. To clearly define this condition, we require one more term that is called metacenter. To avoid the confusion, we require the term called metacenter. The metacenter definition is that it is a point of intersection of vertical line. It is a point of intersection of vertical line passing through new center of buoyancy. Let me show you with the figure. It is a point of intersection of vertical force which is passing through a new center of buoyancy, that is B dash, and the vertical axis which are originally, let us assume, xx. Now whatever the axis is there, this is called xx. The metacenter will be the vertical line which are passing through new center of buoyancy B dash and the vertical axis xx. The intersection point is called as M. Same here also, you can see M is here. Now you can very clearly predict that for stability, M must be above the G. And for unstable, if M will be below the point G, the body will be unstable. Now very clearly you can define the stability and instability of the floating body. That's why we required metacenter. And that is the reason for that we don't have metacenter for submerged body. So that is regarding question number 1. Now, this is the question number 1 we have, in which we have to check the stability of floating bodies. So answer will be C. The metacenter must be at the higher level than the center of gravity. M must be above the G. Metacenter must be lower than the, this is for unstable. This is particular cases for unstable of floating bodies. These two condition is for submerged bodies. With the help of this option A and B, we cannot define stability and instability for floating bodies. So that is all about question number 1. I hope you got the answer. Now let us discuss question number 2. It is a very good problem in which they are asking that a mercury column is there in the barometer tube. We need to find out what is the gauge pressure of vapor. So let me discuss this problem through diagram. Okay, so we have the figure here, and there is a liquid, that is a mercury liquid is there up to the height h. Remember, this is a barometer tube. And what is the practical application of barometer tube? The barometer tube is used for measurement of atmospheric pressure. Used for measurement of atmospheric pressure. Now, and of course, the diameter of the tube must be greater than 10 mm to avoid the capillarity action. Now, let us assume the different points in the tube. Let me consider this is the point number 2, point number 1, and this is called point number 3, just above the free surface of the mercury level and into the liquid vapor, into the vapor. I can say P1 equal to P2 because point number 1 and point number 2 are at the same level. So I can also say P1 is nothing but P atmospheric. If you see the diagram, at point 1, the atmospheric pressure is acting because it is open to atmosphere. And point 2, we can say rho GH, rather to say rho of mercury, plus point 3, that is P3. But they are asking gauge pressure. Gauge pressure is nothing but P atmospheric will be 0. Rho GH plus P3. So we can say that P3 will be minus rho of mercury into G into H. Rho of mercury into G into H. So that is a negative. So answer should be negative. B option is correct. You will ask, sir, D option can also be correct. Yes, it can be correct when they are asking absolute pressure of vapor. absolute pressure of vapor. In that case, the answer should be P atmospheric minus rho of mercury into G into H. As you can see from the formula, it is a less than atmospheric pressure but positive. So in that case, the option D would have correct. But as of now, the situation is given. We need to find out the gauge pressure. That will be the negative. So that is regarding question number 2. Now, let me go through question number 3. Now, in this particular question, the airflow is steady, incompressible, and invisible. And that is what the assumption for Bernoulli equation. So we can apply Bernoulli equation here also. The density of air is given. Now we need to find out pressure difference between point number 1 and point number 2, where point number 2 is atmospheric pressure. So we need to apply first of all continuity equation to get the velocity relation. A1 V1 equal to A2 V2. So 0.2 into V1 equal to 0.02 into V2. V2 is given as 50. So if you calculate, you will get V1 as 5 meter per second. If you calculate V1, you will get 5 meter per second. That is regarding V1, that is velocity at the section 1. Now, let me solve this question. Okay, now solution. We have the section here is given something like this, where point number 1 and point number 2 is given. Now Z1 is equal to Z2. Both the points are at the same height from the datum. Now we need to apply Bernoulli equation. Bernoulli equation between point 1 and point 2. So what we'll get, P1 by rho z plus V1 square divided by 2g plus Z1 equal to P2 by rho g plus V2 square divided by 2g plus Z2 plus no head loss due to friction or due to minor losses. It is going to be cancelled out, and we need to find out P1 minus P2 divided by rho z equal to V2 square minus V1 square divided by 2g. Gg will cancel out. So finally P1 minus P atmospheric pressure equal to rho by 2 V2 square minus V1 square by 2. So if you calculate P1 minus P atmospheric pressure, you will get 1.52 kilopascal. So this is the value you will get it. They are asking nearest means approximately 2 decimal places. 2 decimal places. So that the answer we can give. So that is question number 3. Only you need to apply Bernoulli equation, that's it. Now coming to the question number 4. Here we are going to read each and every line. Water which is having density flowing through an inclined pipe of uniform diameter. The velocity, pressure and elevation at the section A is given, and all the points, all the parameters has been given to the at the point B also. If the acceleration due to gravity is 10 meter per second square, then head loss due to friction they are asking. In all the previous cases, and the set 1 also, we have solved a problem. In that we have assumed head loss due to friction is 0. But in this particular situation, they are asking, we need to find out head loss due to friction. Here head loss due to friction is not 0. Now, so let me draw this figure so that we can imagine the question. This is the point number A and this is the point number B. And both are at the different height from the datum. This is the datum line, and both are at different height, ZA and ZB. But here the condition is, the flow condition is not given. That is the flow direction, in which direction flow is flowing. Let me assume if we are assuming flow direction in this way, so what I can write, EB equal to EA plus head loss. E is nothing but total energy at A EB is nothing but total energy at B, that is at the point B. Now, but we don't know the flow direction. If I would have assumed the flow direction something like this, then I could have write down EA equal to EB plus head loss due to friction. But in this, as per the situation, we don't know flow direction, so we cannot proceed until unless we find out the flow direction, in which direction fluid is flowing. So in that case, we are going to consider energy at point A, energy at the point B, and we are going to see which are at the higher level of energy. If energy at A point is higher than energy at the point B, then we can say that the fluid is flowing from point A to point B. If energy at the point B is higher as compared to the point A, we can say that fluid is flowing from point B to point A. Now, let us examine the situation. Okay. Solution. Question number 4. So that is the last question for this GATE 2020 set 2 problem of fluid mechanics. We are going to find out, and it is a uniform diameter. That means whatever the velocity is there at the point A, the same velocity we are going to get at the point B also. And that is what given in the data. So let us calculate energy at point B and energy at the point A. That is PA divided by rho g plus V1 square, VA square divided by 2g plus ZA. That is potential head plus pressure head plus kinetic energy head. That is what the together called as total energy at point A. Now calculate 186 kilopascal 1000 into 10 plus VA is given 3.2 divided by 210 plus ZA is given as 24.5. If you calculate, you will get it 43.612 meter. That is the energy at the point A. Now calculate energy at the point B. That is PB by rho g. Similar fashion as we did for energy at A. VB square divided by 2g plus ZB. So if you calculate, you will get the value approximately 35.612 meter. Now you can see that energy at the point A is more than energy at point B. That means that the flow is taking place from point number A to point number B. This is the flow direction. This is the flow direction. Now, what we can calculate, EA equal to EB plus head loss due to friction, or whatever the head loss is there. If you calculate head loss, you will get 43.612 minus 35.612. You will get exactly 8 meter. And that is what they are asking in the question. So that is a very simple problem. Just we need to apply Bernoulli equation along with the head loss, and we need to calculate head loss due to friction. But my question is that, see, at the pressure at point A, if you see the question, the data 186 kilopascal is given. And the pressure at point B is given as 260 kilopascal. Now, the situation will be something like that. Many of us will assume that the flow will be from point B to point A, because the flow will always take place from higher pressure to lower pressure. That will be true when kinetic head and potential head will be same at both the point. Until unless both are different, you cannot say based on the pressure. Remember, flow direction can always be found out by total energy. If total energy at point A is more than point B, the flow direction will always be take place from point A to point B, irrespective of the whatever the pressure is given at point A or point B. So that is what a very simple problem which they are asking, and we need to find out head loss in the problem. Now, that is what they are asking. If you read the question, last line, head loss due to friction, nothing but 8 meter. That is the answer. And they asked that round up to 1 decimal places. but here we are getting exact answer. So that answer will be 8 meter. So that is what all about gate fluid mechanics set 2. Thank you.